Hello, 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 Steve H. Broadnax the third.
LL Roberts, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. For the sake of our audience, why don't you tell them? I know who you are, but why don't you tell them who you are and what your various roles in the theater are?
Steve H. Broadnax the third. I am a director, educator, writer, um, and artist. Just full artist. All the things that I like to do. How about yourself, ML? What various roles do you hold?
I am an actor, a playwright. I've recently been saying that, I want to acknowledge my past, that I am the proud son of a Navy veteran
Okay.
and a descendant of the Gullah Geechee peoples of the Carolinas. So those are
Okay.
the titles I hold.
Okay. Okay.
And so why don't we talk about a little bit about how we came together in this workshop? What brought us together for this piece?
Well, actually, you called me.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
how it came to me. I got an invitation from you,
yes.
which I'm very honored. So when I got the invitation, I jumped on it and I read the script and I was like, absolutely, I want to be a part of this project in the development of this piece.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
I feel extremely lucky that you said yes. I'm primarily an actor. I'm a pretty emerging playwright and have been a playwright for the past 2 or 3 years, telling people that I'm a playwright for the past 2 or 3 years.
That's
I knew your work. I saw a play of yours 3 or 4 years ago, and you were on my list of directors to work with as an actor. And then I
wow.
was like, I knew immediately. I was like, it's a hope and a prayer that he will say yes. And so, it's just a good blessing to have you.
Yes, brother, it's a blessing to be asked, and
Yeah,
it was a dream come true. I mean, for us to get a chance to work together, and I primarily work on new plays, and to
right.
work with you. Someone asked me the other day, they was like, "How's it work with Lorenzo?" I was like, "It's heavenly." You mean
Mm.
you're just open, you are very collaborative. I'm a very collaborative person, so it was just with ease and pleasure to work with you on this project. So
Yeah,
again, I'm honored.
thank you. And I want to talk about that a little bit about the collaborative process and what you brought to our ensemble, which we felt from day one, which I mentioned a little bit at the end of our first recording, was that you treated us as humans. We had a check-in at the beginning of each rehearsal, and you said, "How's everyone doing?" And you said, "Don't lie." We were honest with each
Yes,
other. Some people were tired. Some people had just woke up from a nap. Some people
absolutely.
were, going through the slings and arrows of life. And you
Yeah.
said, "All right, that's in the space with us. We're not going to put on a mask." And so that is something that I'm very grateful to you for bringing. And from what I've heard from people who have worked with you in the past, that's just who you are as a person.
Yes, sir. I believe that the people matter. I believe that what we do is about community. The craft of acting demands that you are present, and that in training and working with different artists, we always ask that you are enough and bring yourself. I think it takes courage to be vulnerable, to expose. I believe that acting is a craft that is about revealing, not hiding. And so the first place to tell the truth is in the rehearsal space. And I'm hoping to develop and create a rehearsal space where there's truth from the beginning. So we're so used to kind of walking around and not being honest and authentic of where we truly are. And I just believe if we can, through that ritual, check in truthfully for where you really are, that's where we will begin the process in truth, and we build from there. Because we are asking artists to have the courage to be open and vulnerable and share. And I think you need to really do that and really check in with artists. And so that's just been a ritual of mine to get to the authentic self of everybody and understand this is a space where you can be yourself. We accept all of you. You know what I mean? So that's just something that I love to do.
Yeah, and this process for me is already one of my favorite processes that I've had. And I'm just wondering for you, you know, I feel like we created a really special space and all of the things that you brought in, I'm like, you got that from somewhere else. And I'm wondering if there's a a project that you've worked on in the past that is, specifically meaningful to you, or that you enjoyed and really loved. If you could talk a little bit about one of those projects.
Yeah, I have to be really truthful, Lorenzo. I've been really blessed. All the projects I've had thus far in my career have been meaningful. They have works that have been of service to the community, our community, to widen the discourse and the dimension of who we are as a people, of African descent. I've just been very blessed in the works and the institutions that I've been able to work at. I would just go the last one before we stopped for COVID. I was at the Signature in New York City doing Katori Hall's world premiere of Hot Wing King. So
Right.
that was meaningful because here was another play of all men of color together, you know what I mean, and about the LGBT queer community, which is often within the Black community, we don't get an opportunity to see and humanize and see the dimension. And it was a brand new Katori Hall world premiere at the Signature. So it was really meaningful to be in fellowship with those gentlemen and work on a play on a world premiere of Katori Hall. What about yourself? ML, what project for you, previous work in particular that you worked on before this that may have had meaning to you?
Well, I first want to say that listening to you talk about all your projects, I think is a big lesson for all of us to learn, and that I've learned is that when you lead with, your light and your truth and your joy and love, that any project that you take on will be enjoyable and will be meaningful. So it's really good to hear you say
Oh,
that all the
thank
projects you've worked on have been that way, and that's something that I am learning and have learned from you in the past week.
you.
Um, and I had another moment like that in 2016 at ACT. We worked on this play called The Royale by Marco
Yes,
Ramirez, which
yes,
is
yes, yes.
about, yeah, Jack Johnson, the first Black heavyweight champion. And that was sort of a landmark moment for me as an artist and a human being, as just a young man growing up. And so I think that was a really a big teaching moment for me.
Yes, sir. Well, Lorenzo, bringing it back to Hell You Talking About,
Mhm.
could you maybe share what was your inspiration behind writing it? You know what I mean? We talked a little bit about it. And can you tell us about the title?
Yes, so the title, that's an easy answer. The title comes from a song by the artist Janelle Monáe and her record label, Wonderland Records, and all the artists she has under her label. And the song is called Hellyoutalmbout. And it is a protest song that was made in 2015, and which sort of leads into I heard it, and what the inspiration or initial impetus for this play was. I heard it after the summer of 2016, in the wake of protests of the state sanctioned murders of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, uh,
Hmm.
two men who were wrongfully killed by the
Yes,
police,
yes.
and that was a very tough moment for me. And then the overall sort of emotional place I was in was a place of isolation and pain, and I had a dream, sort of, or an idea to create a space that was the opposite of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I started building this thing. I finally got it, and then we got you on board. And I'm just wondering, you said already that you have a lot of experience with new work and
Yes.
and young playwrights from all different points in their career. And I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you perceive your role and your participation as director of new plays.
Yes. First of all, I see the role of a director as a service job. You know what I mean? I tell people my job is to be of service to the play and the playwright, period. And a lot of people think direction is about, in a dictatorship. That's not what I stand by. My job is to be of service. And I told you this story. I worked with Katori, and she, I would always call plays babies. Like, I'm trying to deliver this baby. And she was like, "You're like the doula." I was like, "I'll take that." I'm the doula for new works. And so my job is to service again the play and the playwright, to kind of deliver this work. And I think plays kind of tell you what they want to be, but just working with the parent of the play to deliver in the hopes and take good care and be good steward in service to the work. That's what I believe a director does, and that's how I govern myself. And it's it's a little different from sometimes when I work on already established works.
Right.
I still believe I'm in service to the play, but I love new plays because we get to explore and take care of the child and groom the child and see what the child wants to grow up to be. So that's an exciting process for me, to work on new works. And like I said, that's what I do. So like working with you, man, it's been good to birth Hell You Talking About. Like we said, we went in thinking that it was one play. You know what I mean? When I remember you was like, I was all ready to make some cuts, and I figured that what was happening. And I came in and went like, as the doula, going, oh no, actually you're having triplets. It's part 1, 2, and 3, which was exciting to me to discover that in the moment when we worked together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lorenzo, I want to hear from your experience, kind of, like you said, going in and all thinking when I got the original script, it was one play, and then to discover that you had 3 plays. Tell me how was that for you as parent?
So as parent, first of all, jumping into a workshop is terrifying because you're putting your child out into the world, right? For the first time, you've been nurturing and taking care of and learning all about this child, and then you send it out into the world and say love it and take care of it, and you don't know. And so to hear that you want more children is great. I'm taking this metaphor all the way, man, because it's lovely, and I think it's really it felt right to me. It's just in the DNA of the thing, and that's the great thing about collaboration, when you meet an artist who understands you and understands your work. And that's the thing that happened in the space with these actors that I think will impact parts 2 and 3, is that I was learning in the space. I'm building this huge world, and I don't know fully where it goes. I don't know the end of the world. And the actors were taking me to places, and you were taking me to places that I didn't know I was ready to go. And so that's already changing the play that I brought in. It's changing parts 2 and 3. And it feels like a symbiotic relationship, that when we do work on parts 2 and 3, parts of part 1 are also going to change. We'll learn new things as these characters develop, as the world begins to build. It will continue to change with each other.
Are you surprised that it is 3 plays that you've had triplets? Are you surprised that it's 3?
I would say I'm surprised. I'm terrified. I'm excited. I'm praying on it.
Yes.
All of the great things that, like it's an exciting. We want to be challenged. We want to be pushed. We want, and it feels within my wheelhouse that I can take it there. And so to have people in the room that are really asking me to rise to the occasion in that way is incredible. So Steve, after working on this piece and workshopping it for a few days, is there a character that was your favorite, or that you liked a lot, or came to the forefront for you in working on this?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna just on the forefront say favorite is I'm gonna, because they all were my favorite, right? I love all the characters. I thought you did a great job at creating what is needed and essential for this story. So bravo to you in creating the cast of characters that support the story. So they're all needed, and they all are. I have favorite things about them all. But today, I will say Yummy. Yummy would be one of my favorite characters, because he, first of all, he's a mute, and Mooney, who played him for us, I just thought he was hilarious. He's funny, and to deal with the mute on stage, I had never seen. And the way you used this character and humor for this character, I thought was brilliant on your part. So those were, anytime Yummy was in a scene, it put a smile on my face. What about you? You have any characters that you after maybe our time together that you go, that one stays on my mind today, or that sticks out?
Yeah, I mean, I love that character. I love Yummy and having the representation of a mute character on stage that I think could be a representation of so many disadvantaged communities and minority communities within the Black community itself. And that's something that's very exciting to me, is that those people may be able to come to the play and see this and see themselves in it. And so Yummy and it's hard for me to choose a favorite now because of like the way that Brandon Jones Mooney played Yummy was so lovely, and
Yeah.
that's sort of, I've associated all of these characters now with actual real human beings. They're not just people in my head anymore. They're real. They're flesh and blood and bone, and so I don't really have a favorite. I love them all, and I'm seeing them in real life now.
And to talk about the mute character, I would just say one of our actresses had a son that was mute, and it moved me for her. She thanked you for putting that on stage in
Mhm.
our community. You know what I mean? To know that I would say any child or person with a disability within our community, we don't get a chance to really humanize and talk about, and giving him courage, giving him humanity and dimension. Even though a character was mute, his spirit was bright. He spoke in spirit and energy. And Mooney, when he came with us, he possesses that. His spirit was beyond just language that he did not speak. So, and that was very moving to me. I mean, like what you've done in representation. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And yeah, and I also want to say that as someone who is a part of an oppressed minority, I also have certain privileges over other communities. And so it's really it can be scary and dangerous territory to write characters that are not like yourself, to write characters that are different from you, because you fear that you will do harm. But I think that when you lead from a place of trying to understand and not commenting on or using, but really wanting to be in community with other people, with people who are different from you, and seeing how your values align, you can't go wrong. You can only continue to learn and grow, and that's what I love about the village that we are building, is that we have characters from all different walks of life, and we're not. It's not about that. It's not just about their identity. It's about them trying to be better people, trying to come together and achieve a goal.
Yes. And I want to correct something I said. I don't know. I feel weird when talk about a disability. It sounds like it's something less, but it's not. And that's what the beauty of what you did. So I want to take out the language of, because to me, disability seems something that is at a disadvantage, but it is not. It
Right.
heightens spirit and
Right.
voice comes in a different way. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and that's the power of these characters, is that they all for their identities, they have they're superheroes. They have
Yes.
superpowers,
Yeah.
and that Yummy's silence is a part of his superpower.
Yes.
So that's something that's really beautiful.
Yes, sir.
So now we are going to show a scene from Hell You Talking About Part One. This scene is between three of our characters: Della, who is the mother of Yummy, who is a mute, and they are visiting for the first time Della's old friend, Gemini.
Gemini's apartment. The next morning, Gemini sits in lotus pose, eyes closed. Yummy enters, gun in hand, and watches from the shadows.
Would you mind putting your gun away? Yes, I'm talking to you.
Yummy steps out of the shadows.
If I wanted to kill you, I would have done so already. As you can see, I'm unarmed.
Yummy puts the gun away.
Who are you? You don't need that. Have a seat. Are you familiar with astral projection? I'll be your guide. Sit closer, please. Remove your shoes. Just like me, legs crossed. Close your eyes. Now, breathe. Breathe deep through the bottom of your belly, all the way down your spine into the earth. Try to sync your breath with mine. Wow, your aura is very blue. It's incredibly deep, almost metallic.
The scene shifts. Gemini throws Yummy up against the wall.
Who are you and what are you doing here? Speak!
I'm Yummy. Wait a minute. You hear that? How am I? Wow.
Do you know who I am?
Yes, you're Gemini. Jim and I. Hey, yo, this is dumb crazy. I'm talking.
How'd you get in my house?
You got a tiny hole in your wall. I came through there. I'm a shapeshifter. Shapeshifter.
Who sent you?
Della?
You're with Della.
Yeah, I'm a son. She knew you wouldn't answer if we not.
Why didn't you start with that? Where is she?
Waiting for you to let her in with snacks.
With snacks.
She said you would want to know that.
Let's go.
Wait, not yet.
The scene shifts back.
Sorry, youngin'. Dangerous to stay there for too long.
Gemini stands and opens the door. Della enters.
Bitch.
Della?
Gemini, I brought you some hot Cheetos. Did Yummy tell you I had snacks?
What are you doing here?
Looking for you, obviously.
How did you find me?
Bitch, it was not easy because your ass is on the down low. Couldn't find you in a search engine, a phone book, and then nothing.
Phone book? They still make those?
My point is we had to do some hunting, but luckily my boy Yummy here is a master scout. Ain't that right, baby? Yummy.
Yummy sits in lotus pose, eyes closed.
You can't go back there without a guide.
I see y'all had a chance to talk.
We did.
I thought you might be the one to get through to him, and vice versa.
Della, why are you here?
Damn! No hi, Della, long time. Bitch, I ain't seen you in 11 years. And you talking all stiff, talking some, why are you here?
20.
What?
20 years. You haven't seen me in 20 years.
Exactly, 20 years. Aren't you happy to see me? Because I'm happy to see you. You look good. My little Gemini all grown up. Ain't that something?
Yes, it is.
And you know, I'm sorry we lost touch, I guess. When Yummy came along, I just got caught up. You know how it is.
Della.
Okay. Have you been following the news about the protest?
I have.
We got attacked last night. They came right for me in my home. I don't know how they found us. Oh, but I had something for their ass. They didn't realize they was messing with the wrong ones. Ain't that right, Yummy? And if what I'm seeing on the news is right, then we ain't the only ones.
It was coordinated.
Exactly. I'm surprised they ain't come for you too.
Well, I'm too off the grid for that.
Well, after trying to find your ass, I see that.
Maybe it was response to the protest.
No, hell no. It wasn't about no protest. You and I both know that.
What else could it be?
How long has it been since we all been together?
25 years.
25 years, which would make them kids.
About 30. I mean, they're only a few years younger than me.
Exactly.
You sure it's them?
I've never been more sure in my life. I saw that they blew up my whole goddamn house. Tried to kill me and Yummy. Didn't see him Yummy. And I like that house too. I've been there for a long time.
After all these years? I mean, you know what this means, don't you?
We knew it was only a matter of time. You know, and I wouldn't have come here otherwise. There was no place else to go. And I ain't had nobody else to reach out to. It was either you or...
No.
Hear me out.
Absolutely not. Wait, did you talk to him already? Did you tell him where I lived?
I heard anything from him yet, but Eli is taking care of them kids, and if they survive, he gonna call.
I want nothing to do with him, Della. I'm out.
Gemini, listen to me. Listen,
What?
I promise it will be different. I will have your back all the way through. Look, with the way things are going, we got no choice but to fight together. Y'all is the only family I got, and I ain't going out quietly. I refuse.
I don't take orders from anyone. I don't take disrespect from anyone, and I'm sure as hell not talking to him. I'll do things my way, and if at any point it becomes a problem, I'm out.
Is that a yes?
I want nothing to do with him. Nothinng.
Fine. And that's a capital Fine. We will figure it out. Yummy, I need you to do some more scouting for Mama. Yeah. You listening to...
Yummy holds up a fist to quiet them. He holds up his whiteboard.
I thought you said you weren't followed.
We weren't, I promise.
There's a secret exit out back. Let's go.
A red dot appears on the wall. It searches the room.
Look. Go the other way. Come on.
They exit, avoiding the red dot.
That was great, man. Actually, I love, that's one of my I hate to say favorite, but I like the scene a lot. It put a smile on my face. And what was great about working on it is when we discovered, I remember the moment when we were in rehearsal of how to communicate that they were speaking without speaking with you. So we got to their inner thoughts. I thought that was one of my favorite moments of discovery in rehearsal, to have like these offstage voices be the voice of the way that Yummy could actually hear his voice and communicate with Gemini. I've never seen anything like that on stage. And it was such a great discovery of how their spirits were able to be like, I'm going to use the term magical realism that we began to see on stage through spirit was just gorgeous. I thought, well done.
Credit to you. Credit to you.
Oh, well done. It's in the script. And it's funny. I think, Patrice D. McLean, who played Della, it was funny. And Chip was Gemini. You get to see their past relationship, and those three were great. I love watching those three.
And I will say that that scene got me really excited. It's crazy that we did all of this on Zoom, and it was really taking me into the world, and it got me really excited to think about seeing you create this in a theater, like seeing what that scene's gonna look like in a theater. It could be, it's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, listen, interesting. You had the kind of brother and sister that we meet are twins, and you have a character in the play named Gemini, who represents twins or dual spirit. Or tell me about that, about your kind of this twin theme you have going on in the play.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with twins. When I was an only child for 10 years of my life, and I always wanted a twin. Shout out, tell my brother I still love him. But I always wanted a twin, and I think that there are parts of me. There's a duality in me, and in my growth as a human being, and learning different parts of myself that I see in different parts of Roland and Janelle. And it was important to me that we see, in telling a story about the Black experience, and telling a really epic story, that we follow specifically two characters who sort of start from the same place and have different reactions to the sort of inciting incident, if you will. And Gemini, for me, I knew, I have to give a lot of credit to Chip Sherman, who is a core company member with ACT and a close friend and colleague now. And I knew that I wanted, the sort of trans non-binary experience in this play, and I wanted to represent our, queer and trans people, and there are multiple queer characters, but specifically, I knew I wanted Chip too in this play. And
Yeah.
Chip, as we were developing Gemini, Chip is a Gemini,
Yes.
which just
So am I.
sort of- and
Yes.
so are you. That's right. We got a couple of Gemini, so
Yeah.
that's
Thank
good. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Faith, who plays Nina in The Drunk Woman, that's right. And so Chip brought up to me this idea of two-spiritedness, and I knew nothing about the indigenous philosophy and legacy of two-spiritedness. And so when I did the research on that, I thought, yeah, this is a part of our world. This is a part of the experience, because Chip is also biracial or multiracial. And so I think all of these things are intersecting in the character of Gemini in a really fascinating way, and I think that I want those communities to see themselves in this play as well.
And brother, I want to commend you, because often, and with our stories, as we begin to tell them, I think it's important to have dimension to the humanity of who we are, and it's needed because, again, there has been a miseducation to the breadth of who we are as a people. And bravo, you've done it. I mean, I look at this play and the representation in age, in gender, in sexuality, and you know what I mean, and culture. You've done it. I mean, in this one play, you have just widened and exposed the variety of who we are as people of color. So, which is needed to be able to see our own reflection, because I believe we don't know who we are until we see our own reflection. So, thank you for that, of widening the truth of who we are. Tell me about, talking about widening, we're going to talk about the village. And what is the role of like the village? It's such a beautiful scene when we get to our ancestors and the village as a whole and community. What is the role of that, and the role of Ro and Jay's families indestructible nature? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So they're before life as we know it now existed.
Mm-hmm.
There was this thing called the Commons. Do you know about the Commons?
No, I don't.
So the Commons was a place where, before we had fences up, before we had borders, before any of that, before we were a huge global community, when we lived in smaller communities of 150 people, the Commons was a place where you came to get anything you needed. The Commons was a place where, if you needed water, you could get water. If you needed housing, you got housing. If you needed a cow to work the land with you, you get that, and you can grow and learn and come together. And I think that feelings of isolation, feelings of contention, fear, and anger come in my life now when I feel disconnected from community. Right. And a lot of the pain that the Black community is going through is that our communities are being ripped apart. And so the theater is a place to model dreams, to model new structures and organizations to me, a place where we can take our imagination to something else. And I wanted to imagine a world where the Commons was back, where the village is there to support you and uplift you and make you whole again. Because the times where I have grown the most, I've been in a village of some sort. And so that's what the village is for me. And we have, all of the people that we have lost, all of the people who have died tragically are in the village right now, and there's no pain for them, and there's no pain for you when you meet them. It's a joyous place. It's a place filled with love and not darkness.
Yes.
And as far as the indestructible nature of the family, I think that is yet to be determined.
Okay.
We know that Roland is bulletproof.
Yeah.
And we don't fully know I've had a lot of people ask me now, is Janelle dead? And I'm like, oh, some people are thinking that she's dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe she's dead. I don't know. Well,
yeah.
Come to part 2, come to part 3. We'll find out.
Yes. Yeah. Lorenzo, now tell me this: we have 3 plays instead of 1 now, right?
Right.
What would you ideally like, want, or need as the next steps to your work? And I encourage you, before you answer, dream big. Speak it.
So I'm taking it from you. You have modeled this for me. You're a big dreamer and believer, and
Yes.
so I want the sky is the limit for me. I want more time in development, more workshop time for us to come together. I want time to work on this piece. I want a production. I want it to get to as many people as possible. So I'm like, let's go. Let's take it to ACT. Let's take it to Broadway, off Broadway.
Yes.
Let's get Spike Lee in there to film it and put it on the
Yes.
streaming service. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, you get one of your peoples to film it, and like
Yes.
let's take it. These are the steps. I'm like, I think this story is big and epic, and people will see themselves in it. And as many ways as we can share it with people, I think it would be a really beautiful thing.
I agree, brother. I remember yesterday, Shalia was saying, she saw it as this, on Broadway, on this commercial house, was I just see but it looks like a superhero movie as the advertisement in the marquee on the side of the theater. I mean, we see these, it looks like a superhero movie that I think that we're all lined up, can't get tickets to in order to see. And I agree. I speak on, I believe and declare that we're to go further into the film trilogy that you're going to have. I don't know, you get to choose between Netflix, Paramount Plus, Showtime, HBO, Hulu, whatever you want. But I think this is a story that is needed. And I know we were very moved as director, and I know our cast spoke about it, being able to see ourselves, to empower us, to give us community. The play, actually, what you're representing, allowed the village for us. We established sort of a village, just our crew, to that worked on the play. And I honor you and thank you for the courage to write it. You are an instrument that is of service to so many people, and I appreciate your selflessness, you know what I mean, and to really create opportunity for other people and tell our story. So I appreciate and honor you.
Thank you. And there's a saying that a dear teacher of mine used to say, you spot it, you got it.
There you go.
You cannot recognize something in someone else unless you possess it yourself. And I just reflect all of that back to you, because you really have modeled how to be a wonderful human being and artist at all times and in all different spaces, which is just a huge gift to everyone who experiences it.
Listen, I will be remorse, brother, to say thank you. And it is the God in me. I like to just be very clear. It's really hard for me sometimes even to hear that, because I never thought it would be me. You know what I mean? I'm just a, boy from Little Rock, Arkansas. But yeah. I love people, and I love story. I want to be a master of story, and I want to serve. So yeah. Thank you, brother, for allowing me.
There it is.